Hi, this is Knighton Tallarico, and it's January 8th, 2018. Just entered 2018, obviously a week ago, and today I'm going to do a forecast and worldview, astrological forecast and worldview, and it's going to be for 2018, but I'm going to give a focus for the first quarter and a little more, like let's say through April or so. I'm going to put the focus on that, but yet give you some perspective on the whole year. And this year, we start off with an eclipse season early in the year. In fact, a week from now, we're starting eclipse season. It'll start at the Capricorn new moon on the 16th of January. And it'll be followed by two eclipses. It'll be followed by one eclipse on the 31st of January. That will be in Sun in Leo, Moon in Aquarius. Sun in Aquarius, Moon in Leo. And then there'll be one on the 15th of February, which is a solar eclipse, Aquarius, new moon. 2017, if you remember, we had those eclipses in 2017, especially that total solar eclipse in Leo at the end of August. And if you look around that time at the events that were going on in the world, you see that we had Charlottesville, which let us all know, in no uncertain terms, that there's certainly a culture war going on in the United States of America between Trumpites, or people that tend to follow Trump, that culture, and then people who see things quite differently than that. People who see things more from an inclusive globalism place. So that's the culture war going on. You could say it another way. You could say like California, Northeast, big city on the one culture, and you could say rural areas, down south for the other culture, just generally speaking. But there's definitely a culture war, and it came out in the Charlottesville incident that happened during eclipse season, the last one. And then, of course, we had the North Korea thing built up to a real crescendo last August, and that was during eclipse season also. And we had some rumblings around the Middle East, Syria, Israel. That was getting pretty strong then, and the Me Too movement strengthened during that eclipse season also. So that's what happened back then. And now for this new eclipse season, interestingly, it is exactly in the opposite degrees, around the same degrees, but the opposite sign. For instance, last year, the total solar eclipse was in Leo at about 28 plus degrees, and the total solar eclipse this year is in Aquarius at almost 28 degrees. And the lunar eclipses are the same way. Last year, the lunar eclipse had the moon in Aquarius, and this year the lunar eclipse will have the moon in Leo. And around the same degrees, close to the same degrees. So it's almost like whatever started last year, and I mentioned some of the things that did on a global scale, those things will be countered on the one hand during this eclipse season and be continued, another way of looking at it, this eclipse season. So, like I said, it starts on January 16th, and then it goes through those two eclipses on the 31st of January and the 15th of February, and then it pretty much ends on March 2nd. And we can maybe take that in a little further into March, but pretty much eclipse season will end in March, early part of March. So this eclipse season will be intense also. I don't anticipate it being quite as intense as last time, because the last one was a total solar eclipse that traveled exclusively across the United States, which was really meaningful. But this one's going to be powerful too, and it's going to be very meaningful. So the eclipses were in Leo last time, or the solar eclipse. This one's in Aquarius. So here's the difference between them. Leo says, me, I'm number one. I'm putting myself out there, leadership place. Aquarius says, we, the community, we, the group, are empowering ourselves. So if you look back then, with North Korea and the things that were going on otherwise in the world, Trump was really flexing his muscles and strengthening up the executive branch of the United States government, because that's more Leo-like, the executive branch. Now, with the eclipse, solar eclipse being in Aquarius, we can expect group movement to be strong and powerful. And keep in mind that this Aquarius solar eclipse will be directly opposite Donald Trump's Mars in Leo and his rising sign in Leo. Last August, it was conjunct those placements. This time it's opposite. So it's like the group is coming to oppose Trump and the executive me first, not me too, but me first. We can call this movement the me first movement. So one thing that's happening is there is a women's march, a follow-up to the one that happened last year. And that one is going to happen in, I believe it's early February. And the other thing that'll happen with the group movement that we're talking about will be the drum rolls, the drum beats will increase and intensify around taking Donald Trump out of office. So whether that's an impeachment movement or looking at the 25th Amendment or just people in one way or another, maybe even worldwide, not just the United States, wanting to take him out of office, or at least, at the very least, take his influence out of our country and out of the world. That movement should get stronger. And that's not wishful thinking on my part. That's because I see the Aquarius solar eclipse, and that tells me that group movement is going to be stronger. In your own personal lives, keep that in mind too. Aquarius is about being socially conscious, and it's about gathering in groups, especially groups that are about birds of a feather flocking together. So it'll be a transformative time period. And remember, the whole year 2018 is continued transformation. We have entered a whole new chapter of life, all of us, individually and as a group, as a country, as a world. And you can see it because so many things are in flux. So many things are changing. So many things are unknown. So many things are in transition. If you're feeling that in your personal life, I know it feels really insecure, but it's kind of like where we're at right now. You know, do your best to get yourself some kind of goals and some kind of structure to lead your life now, but have some loose edges to it because there's so much change here and there's so much change coming. Now, right now, and for a lot of this year, the planets are all in yin signs. By yin, I mean earth signs and water signs. So we got a lot of planets in Capricorn, that's an earth sign, and we have planets in Scorpio, that's a water sign. What those two signs have in common is they both want things to be real. If you know any Scorpios, you know they want things to be real. They don't like the frivolous and the airy-fairy. They want things real and deep and passionate. And Capricorns also want things real and logical and to the point. And so that's where our energies are right now. That's where we're being taken. So in your personal life, what that means is make things real. If you've got dreams, make them real. If you've got ideas, make them real. If you've been running away from things, don't. It's time to move forward into something that's going to work for you. Not something that's just an idle daydream, but something that's going to work. And the world is in that place now too, and it's going to stay there most of this year. So for instance, that's why I see the economy as being threatened this year, especially the stock market, because it's not real. It's inflated way beyond what's normal or what's based on reality and what the fundamentals are of the economy. So you can expect that as we, yin means everything is down and in, water and earth, down and in. Fire and air, the other two elements, up and out. So with things down and in, that doesn't allow for anything to fly too high. And of course, the stock market is based on being manic depressive. So it flies too high, it's manic, and boom, it crashes like in 1929. So we can expect the economy to be in trouble, but I want to make it clear, and those of you that follow me in my writings and have followed some of these videos, you know that I believe that the world is going through transformation from an old age to a new age. And so everything that's happening is not about being, oh, that's bad or that's good, although it might feel bad or feel good. It's more about everything is transforming so that we can leave an age that is dying and enter a new age, the Aquarian age. And we are in the movement of that. So anything that is from the old age or from the old paradigm is going to get more powerful in our faces, but it's going to be released and ended so that we can move into this new age. So a lot of the things that the government is being run now on are the old age. In fact, the people that want to preserve the way privilege used to be in this country, those people are fighting to keep the world the same way. And the people that want to be included in the power structures and be equal in this world, they're fighting from coming from another place. And ultimately, that's part of what the culture war is. But ultimately, it's best not to see it as they're my enemy, whatever side you're picking. Because all that does is just perpetuate the old world. Because the old world is me against you. The new world is me and you. That doesn't mean me and you doesn't mean like I don't matter or I don't count or I don't have any strength or say. It means you have a say, I have a say, and together we make it work. And that's what the new world is. So you can see who's representing the old world. Me first, me only. And then the new movements and even the movement for women, which is Me Too, is along those lines. As long as it doesn't become, in my estimation, crush the men, crush those that oppose the power that we're building up, then they'll be in the same place. So that's a lot of what this eclipse season will be, is the power of the group. Now, at the same time that that's happening, the planet Saturn is in Capricorn. And again, Saturn loves to be in Capricorn. That's like its favorite sign. And it's about making things real. Saturn is gravity. Capricorn holds gravity really well. So it's going to make things grounded, and it's going to make things, as we've been saying, real. And Saturn's also the hand of time. That's why a lot of it's time now, or time's up, or it's time to move forward. It's time to do something new. Saturn went into Capricorn just like a day before the winter solstice. So therefore that means that the winter solstice, which means the sun in Capricorn, was conjunct Saturn in Capricorn on the moment of the solstice, closely conjunct. That gave me the symbol that the winter season, because whatever happens on the solstice or on the equinox gives us kind of a signature for the coming season. So that means that the coming season with a strong Saturn in Capricorn is like facing up to things being serious, things being heavy at times. The last time I made a prediction based on what was going on at a solstice or an equinox, was in 2001, and that was the summer solstice of 2001. I saw that there was a solar eclipse right on the solstice. And so I made a prediction back then that the United States would be facing something really powerful that would be against the United States. And of course, that summer before it ended, 9/11 happened. So you really can, with the signature that happens at the beginning of a season, have a sense of what the season will be like. So that makes Saturn and Capricorn such a powerful part of this winter season. One thing to be careful about this winter season, and not just because it's winter, because winter people get depressed sometimes anyway, especially in the cold weather areas. But just be careful not to get depressed during this winter season. do what you need to do to nurture yourself. Do what you need to do to feel good and positive. And one of the things that you can do, because it'll satisfy Saturn, is to make things real, but don't let what's real bring up fears for you. Look at what's real as helping your life to be grounded. And that's a good way to work with Saturn, is to see that the efforts from the universe to ground things will be really strong this winter. Now for the United States, that Saturn in Capricorn is going to come up within the next couple of weeks to being opposite the United States Venus in Cancer. And then another couple of weeks after that, it'll oppose the United States Jupiter in Cancer. So when you add the Venus in Cancer and the Jupiter in Cancer in the United States natal chart, those are the places where the United States feels comfortable, a sense of well-being, a sense of feeling uplifted. And with Saturn opposite that, those things will be threatened. Saturn and Capricorn opposite those two planets. So the feeling of being ill at ease, or something that's coming to challenge the feeling of being at ease or comfortable, is a part of what this year will be, because that's going to happen within the next couple of weeks during eclipse season, by the way. But it's going to go on and off for the rest of the year. In fact, Saturn will stay in Capricorn for about 2.5 years, but it'll only be opposite the United States Venus and Jupiter this year. So that'll happen during eclipse season, the first pass of Saturn opposite the US Venus and Jupiter. So it will add to the feeling of seriousness during this eclipse season in the world, especially. Now, when we get to the end of eclipse season, Mars, transiting Mars, will be opposite the United States Mars. And what's interesting is in Donald Trump's chart, I know this won't surprise you, Donald Trump's sun in his natal chart is almost exactly where the United States Mars is. So he's born with the sun at 22 degrees of Gemini. The United States Mars is between 21 and 22 degrees of Gemini. So he touches off, he triggers the United States Mars, or its military and police. And we know that that's how he is. So when early March comes and transiting Mars makes an aspect to the USA Mars, it'll also be making an aspect to Donald Trump's sun in Gemini, and also his moon in Sagittarius, which is exactly opposite his sun in Gemini. He was born at a full moon. He was born at a full moon lunar eclipse, actually. So that Mars will touch off those Martian energies in the United States. And if there is going to be any threat of some kind of conflict or war, you can count on it to happen late February through early to mid-March. Now, the actual eclipse season this year will end early March. I said before March 2nd, but it could go all the way out to like March 8th. And the reason I picked March 8th is because right now, and this is relatively rare, and it's only been happening since the very beginning of this year, all the planets are direct. There is nothing retrograde. Very seldom will we see something like that. So that will change on the 8th when Jupiter goes retrograde. So with all the planets direct between now and then, that means all systems are go. So if you want to move your life forward, you can do it between now and the 8th of March. Keep in mind that with everything in the down and in, the yin signs, Saturn in Capricorn, Jupiter in Scorpio, keep in mind that it will not be like a fast pace. It's like organized, deliberative, one step at a time, making a plan and carrying out the plan. Again, one step at a time. But you will be able to move forward in your life, and do the things that you do to move it forward are going to pay off. as long as you keep in mind that everything will be happening one step at a time. So don't do anything impulsive or expect quick results or immediate gratification, because things won't happen that way. Now we keep going, and then of course we got the spring equinox. And then right after the spring equinox on March 23rd, Mercury goes retrograde. And it'll stay retrograde this time until April 15th. And then interestingly, on April 15th, there is a new moon in Aries at the same time that Mercury goes direct. And also on that, around that same time, Jupiter in Scorpio will be making a sextile to Pluto in Capricorn. That's a really powerful combination, Jupiter, which is the god of the heights, and Pluto, which is the god of the underworld. That creates a lot of intensity. And that Jupiter sextile Pluto creates a finger of God placement to the United States Mars in its natal chart. Now, what does that mean to me? Well, I don't know. I haven't seen that before. So my knowledge of astrology tells me that something will be going on at that time that will either create a huge conflict in the United States, or it'll have exactly the opposite effect. Something will happen to break out peace when you don't expect it. So remember, that day's powerful because it's got the new moon in Aries, and Aries is like, let's go forward, and not necessarily deliberatively anymore. And it'll be conjunct Uranus in Aries at the same time. And Mercury goes direct, and the Jupiter sextile Pluto creating the finger of God to the United States Mars. So there'll be a lot happening starting on the 15th of April. And that's the time that you can say, okay, now things, let's go. Let's get it done. But not from a make the plan so much, but get out there and do it and get it done and move forward in a big, powerful way. So that's the really important time period now, from the beginning of the year, like now, to mid-April, take it a couple more weeks than that, till the end of April. That's going to be a really powerful time, and a lot of change is going to happen during that time. So if you're planning on making changes, and the kind of changes I mean is like letting go of the old that doesn't work anymore, and letting in the new that's right for you, that's right for your participation in the new world, that's right for your life to be more authentic and alive. Those kind of things you want to let in. And that which keeps you stuck, which keeps you connected to something that gives you a semblance of security, but not the reality of a deeper security, just like a habit. You want to do your best to release and let go of those habits that hold you back and keep you from having the kind of life that's authentic, that you would like to have. So that's what transformation is, and the power of that's going to be really strong during this eclipse season, which starts on the 16th of January and lasts into March. But then we also have a lot of powerful movement that's going to happen in April too, with that Aries new moon conjunct Uranus, the finger of God placement, and Mercury going direct at the same time. Now let's just go real quickly over the rest of the year. I'll spend more time with it when we get to the middle of this year. I'll get into more detail, but just in general, both Mars and Venus will go retrograde this year. Mars will go retrograde on June 26th, lasting until August 27th. And Venus will go retrograde from October 5th to November 16th. So when Mars goes retrograde, we start pondering things that have to do with our empowerment, with what directions we're moving in. We start wondering if we're moving in the right direction. We go over that inside ourselves. We look at empowerment issues very strongly. And then by the time it goes back direct again, we're on a whole new way of dealing with our empowerment, with our ability to assert, to direct our actions, to move forward with our lives. And again, it goes direct on the 27th of August. And that's in the middle of another eclipse season. Because the next eclipse season, this one will have 3 eclipses. Usually it's 2. This time there's 3. One on July 12th in Cancer, one on July 27th in Aquarius, one on August 11th in Leo, another solar eclipse in Leo like we had last summer. And that Jupiter sextile Pluto that forms a finger of God in April, Jupiter will be sextiling Pluto again on September 12th during that eclipse season. So that'll be a powerful time period. And that will last like from early July until September. And then Venus will go retrograde from October 5th to November 16th. And when Venus is retrograde, we kind of go over and reflect on our relationships in our life. Certainly our most important romantic relationship, but also all our relationships. What are the patterns that aren't working? What do we need to make our relationships healthy and working the way we'd like them to work? And sometimes relationships end, but usually what happens is people just change the relationship pattern so they have better relationships. And the last thing that I think is notable is that Jupiter will move out of Scorpio and into Sagittarius in November of this year. And so when Jupiter's in Scorpio, which is this year, it intensifies things, it brings out more passion, people get angry faster, but also it's about secrets coming out, having things open up that were closed down before, opening up the ways for what's deep inside to come out, but especially the secrets no longer being secrets. That's going to be a powerful part of Jupiter and Scorpio. Then when it goes into Sagittarius at the end of this year, Jupiter and Sagittarius is like, it's time to fly. It's time to free your spirit up. It's time to go to whole new places. It's time to look at things from a meaningful perspective always. It's time to find what inspires you. So Jupiter and Scorpio this year at the beginning, the first large part of this year is about finding your passion. That's like deep, right? That's instinctual. And then Jupiter goes in Sagittarius, and then you look for what inspires you and lifts your spirits. So overall, we've got a really important year here on planet Earth in the United States. And I think 2018 and 2019 will make so many shifts. I think that the Trump presidency will be seriously challenged. And I think that new movements like the Me Too movement will have more and more of those. And those are challenging the old way that we do things. Abuse of power, for instance. A separation of men and women in a way that doesn't work, in a way that's not good for us. It'll be more about equality, bringing the genders together, bringing all the opposites together. Dark and light, male and female, yin and yang. When they're opposed to one another, that's enemies and war. And when they're working together, that's what makes everything better in this world. And what brings things together? Love. So the power of love is going to get really strong this year. The power of truth is going to get really strong this year. And those that don't want love and those that don't want truth or can't handle love and can't handle truth, they're going to be hanging on to the old world for dear life. They're going to want it to keep it the way it is because they're going to be scared to move into these new energies, even though these new energies are wonderful. They'll be scared. They'll be scared partly because the privilege that they've gained during that old paradigm will be threatened. And it's partly because they got the feeling of security from that old world and they're scared of the change. So let go of your fears as best you can and open up to the new rays of sunshine around love and truth. And this year will be the kind of year that you would like it to be. Take care.